Hi everyone, I hope you found the swing analysis helpful last week. If you didn't get a chance to send it off and you'd still like to, you're more than welcome to. We'll have a look at it this week as well. But today I fancied doing more of a classroom session, something we haven't done here before, but hopefully you enjoy, because I quite enjoy this side of the game. So I'd hopefully like to educate you, or just maybe even confirm if it's something that you already knew. So what I'd like to talk about today is striking of mid-irons, and there's two real key points that I'd like to talk about, and one is the angle of attack and the other is the low point of the arc. Now I would say it's very much a characteristic of very good players that they consistently contact the ball. It's something that they'd all have in common, and I just want to run through the understanding of what angle of attack is and what low point of the arc is as well, so when I'm talking about it we're all following. So if we're swinging the club here and we're getting down to this moment of impact, our club head takes very much a semicircular shape, okay? So if the ball was caught here, this would be the downward part of the arc here. Then it would bottom out, and that's the low point of the arc where it bottoms out, and then it would start to rise upward on the incline of the arc. Now, recently I've got a TrackMan 4 which has given me access to Tour Pro's data, and I've seen that generally with a mid-iron, they're between the region of about 5 to 7 degrees down. So they're hitting the ball on the downward part with their mid-iron, and their low point is always past the golf ball. This is why when you watch them on TV, you'll quite often see them take big divots that come out after the golf ball. Now, I probably wouldn't want to see you 5 to 7 degrees down because they're hitting it quite a bit harder, so they need to be a little bit more downward. But the principle stands that I would like to see you hit it on the downward part of the arc. So, a good thing you can do when you're practicing, or even at the golf club, is or on a mat, where you lay your club at address, be attentive of that and try to contact the golf ball just past, or the mat if you're doing a practice swing without the ball in the way, so where the club is at address and you swing through, where you hit the mat or the grass, try and make it an inch or so forward. Okay, now this does two things. It means you'd get ball first contact, and it also, which is going to give us a very solid strike, and it also, that motion, you can see what it's doing to the shaft position and the club face. It de-lofts the club. So it's going to produce two positives. It's going to produce solid strikes because we're getting ball first contact before the ground, and it's also going to create more distance because we're slightly de-lofting it. Now, a fault that I very much see in amateurs when I'm coaching is they'll see an elite player hit a golf ball and it towers into the sky and it looks fantastic. So their perception of how they do it is they think that the golfer's hitting it up in the air. So what the amateur can tend to do is try and stay back to hit it up in the air, bottom out early and start to catch the ball on the upward part of the arc. Now that's not very good for striking because it can cause mishits where we catch behind it so we can get some heavy shots, or we can start to catch it on the incline of the arc and get some thin. So I'm very much a believer, and I've seen it in action, that if you're educated and you understand your task completely in hand, you move better as a consequence of that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run through a professional and we're going to go through his swing and the moment of impact in slow motion to show you exactly where he contacts the golf ball, just to give clarity on what I'm saying.
Okay, so here's our example of what I've been talking about. Who better to use than Tiger Woods? So I'm going to take him down to the point of the golf swing and the contact that we're talking about. So I just want you to carefully watch here. When he contacts the ball, you can see the motion of the club heads going downward. When he contacts the ball first, ball's taking off now, then we see the divot. Okay, so I'll go through that again. So it's hitting it on the downward part. You can see the shaft positions forward. So it goes ball first contact, then divot. That's going to give us that very crisp, solid strike. And here's Tiger Woods from a slightly different angle, but just showing the same point. Club head's working downward. We're going to see the ball first contact now. Then we start to see the divot, quite a large one at that. That would have been a really solid strike there. Ball, then divot.
I hope you found the video helpful. I really am a big believer that if you understand the task in hand and exactly what you should be performing, you're going to move better as a consequence of that. The one thing I would like to highlight though is with a driver you wouldn't be hitting down on it, okay? Different characteristics totally. You've got the ball off a T-peg and you've got a club head with less loft and the ball forward in your stance. So that's actually more of a sweeping motion up. But for your irons, this is very much a concept that will improve your ball striking through understanding. It'll start to feel crisper and more solid strikes. I hope you found that helpful. I look forward to seeing you all soon.